Well, today I'm down at Chod Fisheries in Malden and Essex, my favourite day to get water, and this is why, because there's stunning fish like this, full of character. It's a really brilliant place to come spend some time fishing. I caught this one on a Chod rig, and I'm down here today to do a mag feature, but it's well worth showing you some of the other new bits, you know, that I've been using to catch these fish. I'm going to get this one slipped back and got another couple to show you, and then run through the rigs I've been using. So as mentioned, down at Chod, the nature of the lake bed that I'm fishing over is mainly made up of silkweed. In fact, I'd say 99.9% of the lake bed is covered in silkweed. There's silk pockets out there and there's the odd little patch of gravel. But in the grand scheme of things, if you're approaching a water like this, you've got to use suitable rigs to present baits properly over the top of that weed. And frankly speaking, there's only two real options for that. One is the Chod rig and the other is the helicopter rig. I first started fishing with the Chod rig around 10 years ago. It's such an effective rig for fishing over chod, debris, weed, etc. You've got this pop-up bait and that just settles down over the top of everything. That said, it wasn't too easy in the first couple of years of me using it. I used to set up the rig something like this. Sliding chod rig, pop-up bait, had a bead here, but when I caught a fish, this bead would slide down to here, and the bait would be in the fish's mouth, and I'd have a lead very close to the fish, and I found I was losing an awful lot of fish. I think the weight of the lead was just popping the hook out of the fish's mouth. Not part of the game, you know, going fishing and losing them. Anyway, after a little bit of thought, I decided if I could put an element of separation into the rig, it would help matters, so I ended up splicing in an 8mm ring, putting a bead over the top, which meant then when I hooked the fish, the rig couldn't go any further, and it created that separation between the rig and the lead, and I started to land pretty much every fish I hooked. Yes, it's a devastating rig and one I've used to great effect over a number of years. That said, I'm here today to show you a product that's made everything even easier. First up, you've got a naked gripping chod kit. This one's been specifically designed for when you're fishing with, for example, monofilament on your reels or fluorocarbon. You've got a lead core gripping chod, and then you've also got a sliding chod. I'm going to quickly zip one of my rods in just to show you exactly how they're set up and how it makes fishing the chod that little bit easier and hopefully allows you to land every fish you hook. Well, as you can see, just as I said, there's plenty of weed out there. Just quickly get this out of its mess and I'll show you exactly how it's set up. So this particular kit is the gripping chod bead kit. As you can see, I've mounted my chod bead here on a 2-part bead kit. If I pull this apart, you've got a bead with a spigot that the swivel just fits nicely over, and then you've got another bead with a bigger bore that just drops over the top of that. I can then position my chod rig anywhere I like along my main line. It means if I'm fishing in very deep silt, I might decide to slide it further up, or conversely keep it a little bit tighter to the lead to get, you know, a more positive pickup. Further down here, when I do get a take, as I mentioned, the bead in the rig now slide down onto this piece of silicone, and it's doing two things. Firstly, when I'm playing a fish, it's creating almost a small bungee there that sort of absorbs the lunges from the carp, and it also creates that separation between sort of lead and rig. So when the rig is in the fish's mouth, I haven't got that lead so close that it can pop the hook out. Secondly, before I'm about to cast, it also creates that separation between the hook point and the lead. The last thing I want is my hook point very close to my lead. I may well cast and the point will be pulled into that lead. Firstly, I won't catch a fish at all, but if it does just pull into it and nick it, it might blunt my hook. So this little boom section is actually doing two jobs. As I sort of mentioned, you've got a helicopter sleeve here, which just allows you to neatly fix the lead on and conceal it behind everything. Underneath that, I've got a Type 2 link clip, and this allows me, if I need to put a heavier lead on, a lighter lead on, in case the fish move further out at range. So as you can see, nice and simple, you can just slide the sleeve down over the link clip, which sits nicely over the lead, then my boom section, and then my actual choddy mounted onto the 2-part bead kit. Very simple method, great for if you're fishing fluorocarbon or monofilament and you want to fish directly your chod onto the line, especially somewhere where there might be a leader band. Next up, an almost identical setup, still fished on the main line, still using the helicopter sleeve in the bungee section, but this time I've got the sliding kit. So the rig can actually slide along the main line and stop at whatever position it wants. Again, great if you're fishing over deep silt, silkweed, etc. One thing worth pointing out on this one is at the top of this rig here, I've actually mounted onto my main line one of our small clingers. And that's to create a stop there, so when the rig does come up there, it can't keep travelling up the line on the cast. It also serves another purpose, and that is if I am to crack off, you know, and I do end up losing my rig in the water, as I showed you earlier, this smaller bead here will hit that and be able to pass over, therefore making my rig entirely safe, ensuring the fish isn't trailing around potentially a leader setup or a great long length of main line, and instead it's only got the rig left in its mouth. So not only does the kit sort of cater for landing more fish and ensuring your hook point doesn't get caught on the cast, it's also ultra safe due to the large bore on this bead. Another permutation, albeit very similar to the last rig, is the fact that I'm now using the Klingon leader, something I'm really passionate about. I love this product, it's so heavy and supple and just follows every contour of the lake bed, and great if you haven't got a leader band in place. Like I said, almost the same. You've still got your lead sleeve, you've still got your bungee section. This time I'm also using it with a sliding bead kit. Basically, the fact that there is free kits really does mean there's something for everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're using tubing, lead core, a lead-free type leader material, fishing it on your main line. These kits allow you to present a chod rig effectively, whether that be fixed or sliding, in a safe manner to allow you to land more fish. And the kits are not just perfect for chod rig fishing. This is a helicopter setup, another great rig to use when you're fishing in chod, siltweed, etc. The lead buries into the substrate on the bottom and your rig just sits neatly on top of it. I haven't used the bungee section for this, but I have got the lead sleeve, and I've just used one of the 2-part beads, pulled that nicely down into the ball and socket, and I've attached my helicopter rig like so. This particular one's a stiff hinge, but you could use a nice long hook link with a little snowman on, just something that sits down nicely on top of that weed or that chod. Again, very safe. If I do crack off or lose my rig, because of that large bore there, it'll pass all the way up here, over the top of my leader knot, and the fish will only be left with the rig. Because I'm down at Chod today and it's a day ticket lake, I've already had 4 bites and I've landed 4 fish, even though it is very weedy. There are, however, times when I really need to lose the lead. I might be fishing in very dense weed, or, you know, fishing for one bite, one really important fish. It's in those instances when, you know, I want the lead to come off. It's also a safety aspect. I don't want a fish sort of trailing a big heavy lead around in sort of thick weed. So it's in those situations where I would use a system like this with a chod ejector bead. Again, you can fish it on multiple setups, lead core, fluorocarbon, Klingon leader type products, mainline, etc. You've got the double barrel bead with the swivel mounted in between, and the fish just pulls that down and forces the lead to be released. Very clever, very simple, and definitely will land you more fish in heavy weedy situations. So there you have it, that's a quick insight into how to fish sort of weedy, choddy, silty type waters using a helicopter rig or a chod rig, and importantly, safely and effectively. There really is something for everybody in these kits, whether you want to use tubing, mainline, fluorocarbon, lead core, you want a sliding choddy, a fixed choddy, a helicopter rig, or you even want to lose the lead. So guys, don't be put off with the weed, remember that's where the food is, get out there and give it a go for yourself. Frankly speaking, it's not looking too great for a bite now. I'm actually going to zip these rods in, and there's only one thing to do on a day like this. The sun's getting a bit higher and I'm going to drift some riser pellet over the lake. See you later.